Hello. This past weekend was fall break, so me, Tim, Mallory, and Jennifer all went to Lyon and Chamonix for fall break. We were at the TGV to Lyon on Wednesday and spent Wednesday and Thursday and most of Friday there. Lyon is the second biggest city in France, although compared to Paris it's actually pretty small. Another distinction the city has is that this month it's been the scene of the most violent rioting in France. As you may know, there's been a lot of strikes and rioting in France over some laws that they're passing about retirement. Lyon has been the scene of most of the violent rioting, including car burning, window breaking, and other things. There was a lot of broken glass and a lot of broken windows, and there were often riot police just standing around in full riot gear. In spite of the rioting and strikes, some of the city still was quite beautiful. On Thursday we went up to the top of the hill where they have the Basilica of Notre Dame. The way up the hill is filled with really steep, narrow roads and cool houses. Besides the Basilica, they also have ancient Roman ruins on the top of the hill. Here's a Roman theater. Excuse me. On Friday afternoon we left for Chamonix, which is a small town in the Alps. We were supposed to take the train from Lyon and then catch another train at a small station halfway in between there and Chamonix. But our train ended up running about 50 minutes late, so by the time we got to the train, ours that we were supposed to catch was well gone. So instead we caught a bus that would go to Chamonix, and it ended up coming in at like midnight or something. The next day we woke up to see the Alps, which were pretty cool to just be in the middle of. Most of the first day we spent just exploring Chamonix and checking out the town. At the end of the first day we took a small hike up one of the mountainsides. Here's our fearless leader trying to figure out why one of the paths is blocked. From our hike we got a good view of Mount Blanc, which is the highest mountain in the Alps. The snow dome in the back there is the peak of Mount Blanc. It doesn't look quite as high as the other ones just because it's farther back. The next day we took a long hike up the other side of the valley. I made us some omelets to start the day off, and then we headed out into the slightly rainy conditions. As we hiked higher, the rain started to turn to snow, and although it felt colder, it looked a lot cooler. After 3 hours of almost constant switchbacks, we finally made it to a refuge place for hikers where we ate lunch. After that we headed back down the mountain, but by this point it was snowing hard enough that you couldn't see very far. All in all, the hike took about 5 hours, and though it was somewhat difficult, it was a lot of fun.
Hello children, today I'm going to read a story entitled The Long Journey Home, in which everything that could possibly go wrong pretty much does. Once upon a time there were 4 college students who were taking a vacation in the Alps. But this was not where they lived across the small country of France, so they needed to go home. They thought it would be easy. Silly children. So they got up at the crack of dawn before the sun was even awake, and walked down to the train station like so many deformed camels to get on their train. They rode this small train to the next train station where they were supposed to catch another train, but it wasn't there. They didn't know what to do, So instead, they waited around for 2 hours for a bus to take them to another place, where they were hoping to catch another bus to go somewhere else. But when they arrived there, everybody and their mother-in-law wanted to go to Lyon as well, so all the buses were full. So of course that meant they had to wait another hour for another bus. They finally squeezed on and rode all the way to Lyon. Finally, after more bus rides than they would have liked, they arrived in Lyon. There, they were supposed to take a train to Nantes, but that wasn't leaving for several more hours, so again, they waited. Finally, at 5 o'clock, they stood on the platform, eagerly awaiting their train. It pulled up, and they muscled their way in and sat down, safe and sound. But do you remember the title of this book? That's right, they got on the train, but it was the wrong train. So instead of ending up in their nice cozy beds in Nantes, they had to ride the train all the way to Rennes, where they had to spend extra money to get a hostel to stay overnight so they could finally get a train back to Nantes in the morning. By this point, they had pretty much done everything wrong that they could, so the next morning they actually made it back, after traveling for about 27 hours just to get across France. The end.
That was fall break. All things considered, it was a pretty fun trip, and if nothing else, we kind of learned how French transportation works. So, bye!